Hello, everyone. My name is Elvis Sevilla. I'm a PhD student at Nova Southeastern University, and I am going to be discussing briefly about multiple linear regression. What is linear regression? Linear regression is a type of statistical analysis that's most commonly used as a predictive type of statistical analysis. The overall idea with regression is that it examines two things. The first thing is that it's going to show the significance relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. And the second thing is that it's also going to show which of the independent variable can predict or is related to the dependent variable. Now, the estimates of the relationship between is typically going to be on one dependent variable, and there are different types of regression analysis. So there can be a single linear regression or a multiple linear regression. In the simplest form, the formula shown here of the linear regression, where y is your dependent variable score, your c is your constant, which will be explained a little later, your b value is your regression coefficient, which shows the relationship among the variables, and your x score, which is your independent variable. Now, for multiple regressions, there are going to be multiple x's or multiple independent variables. The most important output scores that you will notice, you want to start off with your R squared. Your R squared is going to be the amount of variance of your dependent variable that can be explained by your independent variable or variables. And also you want to check for your statistical p-values that are going to show either less than 0.05 or 0.01. That's obviously going to show that you're going to be 95% to 99% confident that you have not committed a type 1 or type 2 error based on this relationship. And then you're also going to notice the predictor change, whereas 1 unit of your independent variable is going to show some sort of change on your dependent variable. So let's provide an example. We want to do a research project in which we want to see what the amount of influence there is of parents, peers, and academic achievement has on violent outcome of a group of adolescents. And so we identify our dependent variable being our violent outcome, which would be a scale variable. And then we also have our independent variable, which we're going to measure that against, which is going to be our parental influence, our peer influence, and academic achievement scores. And so what we want to look at, let's say we've done the project and we input the data and we ran the analysis and now we have an output. The one thing we want to start looking at is the adjusted R squared. And the adjusted R squared is going to show you the amount of overall model variance of that the dependent outcome variable is explained by your independent variable. So let's say we found an adjusted R square of 0.40. So what that means is that 40% of the violent outcome of the participants in the study can be explained by our independent variables, such as parental influence, peer influence, and academic achievement. And then the next thing you want to look for is your statistical significance of each of those variables, of the independent variables. You want to make sure that your p-value is anywhere between 0.05 less than or 0.01 and less than. So therefore you can justify that the relationship between parental influence, peer influence, and academic achievement is statistically significant on violent outcomes of these participants. And also, you want to look at your beta values. Where they're going to show is next to the constants. So your constants here are 1 unit of parental influence, 1 unit of peer influence, and 1 unit of academic achievement. Let's say for each and every one of these independent variables, let's throw a number of 0.23 for each one, just for hypothetical purposes. So what that would tell us is that for every 1 unit of parental influence, there was a positive relationship of unit increase of 0.23 units of violent outcomes. And the same could be concluded for peer influence and academic achievement. So these are the basic areas of multiple linear regression that it can help you find those 3 determinations, which is determining the strength of these predictors, forecasting the effect, and showing if there's a unit of change from the dependent variables and the independent variables. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for listening.